Welcome back, guys. My name is Chris, and I'm bringing you the October edition of NetSuite News. I have a few different things to talk about, so let's get straight into it, starting off with NetSuite Certifications. I made a video a few months back where I commented on the fact that they've started taking the certifications, the actual portal to get into NetSuite certifications, off of the NetSuite page and started tucking them away into Oracle's MyLearn. So I commented on that. I said about that shift. And more recently, they've made it clear that they're not just shifting things over to a different site and having a bit of a different process to access them. They're actually remodeling their entire certification structure. Now, for anyone who was aware of the certifications previously, there were 5 functional certificates with Suite Foundation, Admin, ERP Consultant, Financial User, and Suite Analytics. And then they had 3 technical certifications for the developers. That was the old system. Now they're coming up with a bit of a tier system. So at the lowest level, you have the associate, then up from that, you have specialist level, and then professional certificates, which is really similar to some of the other larger ERP systems like Microsoft Dynamics, SAP have a similar setup. Now, I don't have all the details in terms of how this certification system is going to work because they haven't released that yet. There's going to be a seminar on November 5th where they'll brief everyone on exactly how it's going to work. But their website does have some basic information, so there's at least some insight we can get from that. So I'll tell you what I do know is that amongst these 3 levels of certificates, the exam certificates that they previously had, namely those 5 functional ones I just mentioned, it looks like those are just now reordered into that system. So just to kind of give a quick recap on it, the associate level, that looks to be sort of a free, very beginner level certification. So you don't have to pay to take the exams. They even have like an AI exam. So I think that's really just going to be for entry level users. Up from that, they've got specialists. That only costs $125 to take that exam, and that includes a number of different topics ranging from accounts payable, accounts receivable, as well as it looks like Suite Foundation from their old setup is now moved into that tier, which is also good news for people that are looking to take Suite Foundation. It used to cost $250. Now it's only costing $125. I may even change the price of my course to kind of better be in tandem with their new pricing. And then up from that with professional, that's $245. So basically the same pricing as before. And it looks like, well, minimally their admin and the ERP consultant certification, that is now being tucked into that tier. And then they have a few other certifications that look like they're just renaming Suite Analytics and their financial user. That may not be the case. Again, when I get more information, I will let you know. I'll do a full video on the new certification setups. But main point I'm trying to make is I wouldn't freak out if you've recently got certifications. It's not like they're nullified or they're no longer going to be valuable. And if you have been preparing to take certifications, I don't think you've wasted your time. I'm almost positive. I will be more than happy to admit I'm wrong if I am, but I'm very confident that what they have in terms of their test and the exam structure and all of that for their, let's say, Suite Foundation, Admin, ERP Consultant, I really don't think they took the effort to remake that entire process. I really think they've just taken it over and they've built out a new kind of more extensive certification system that includes certificates that just didn't exist before. So who knows, maybe in the near future, I'll be coming out with new prep courses on all those additional certificates. So that's it on the new certification element of things. Again, in November, I'll have a more detailed video on that topic. Moving on to the next topic for NetSuite News, I want to talk about a super training highlight. A year ago, I started coming out with an inventory management course that was the first in the supply chain management area. And at that time, I promised that I would build out more courses and eventually I would package them into a supply chain management package. So you don't have to buy the courses individually. You can get them all at once with inventory management, manufacturing, MRP, WMS, which I just released. So now that those courses have all been made, I also came out with that supply chain management package. You can feel free to check that out. Now, because I've recently come out with my new website and I'm still making some development changes to that, that course, WMS, and that package, supply chain management, those are actually not, you can't find them on the website at this exact moment. Hopefully I rectify that in the next week or so. But as of right now, if you're interested in those, just check out the links down below. You can absolutely still sign up for the courses and access all the content. You just won't be able to locate them on my website. The links below is how you would access those. So for all the people that have been reaching out to me looking for those package and courses, they're now available. Check them out. Moving on from that to a topic I brought up in my last video or 2 videos ago with the huge announcement at SuiteWorld 2025 was NetSuite Next. That was their big announcement. It really dwarfed everything else. They made it almost the entirety of the keynote was just on that new product. And it's really understandable to see why. That really is the future of where NetSuite is going. So I talked a little bit about it at the time. Since then, really over the last 2 weeks, I've been doing a lot of additional research, reaching out to people. And at this point, I've talked to several people that were beta testers for NetSuite Next and kind of adjacent products. I'll explain what that means later, as well as a couple of the developers and people that were actually on the team working on NetSuite Next, who at this point no longer work on that project, but only recently. So I've managed to collect a lot of additional data in terms of where NetSuite Next has come from the development process, what it stands as of right now, and what I think is going to be happening moving into the future. So that full NetSuite Next video is going to be coming out next week. I know this is a little bit of a tease, but it's something a lot of people have their attention on. It is really monumental for the NetSuite ecosystem. So be sure to be tuned into next week's video where I'll go into a full dive on NetSuite Next. Moving on from that to the app of the month, I want to talk about Orderful. Now, in September, I actually released a few videos on the subject of EDI, which, if you don't know, that stands for Electronic Data Interchange. You can check out those videos if you want to, but it's a very interesting subject and it's a core component of so many businesses. And so I thought it was particularly interesting when I was at SuiteWorld 2025. Every SuiteWorld, in addition to everything that they do for the clients and the customers, they also hold an awards ceremony to pass out awards to the various partners, consulting companies, etc., as well as third-party app makers. And there's one particular award they give. I think it's called the Partner App of the Year. I don't remember the exact title, but it's basically the one that they give amongst all the third-party apps, the one they feel has had the most growth and is providing just kind of a superlative product in the NetSuite ecosystem. And this year, Orderful did win that award. So I thought it was particularly interesting because I've just been talking about EDI quite a bit, and then an EDI integrator ends up winning the award. And especially in light of the things that I discussed in that video, I thought it was particularly apt. So let's talk about that briefly for a second. In my EDI video, I talked about the fact that the EDI environment and that software really is not a new technology. In fact, it's really the opposite. It's been around for ages. It's something that's kind of entrenched in e-commerce, consumer packaged goods, these kinds of businesses, which a lot of small to mid-sized NetSuite companies are. So just like when you're dealing with the 3-pronged electrical outlets that we have, just because it's been around for 60 years doesn't necessarily mean it's the best way to do something. It's just been that way. So one thing that's really interesting about Orderful compared to some of the more legacy EDI implementers that I commented on in my video, they're approaching it from a different standpoint. They're trying to bring a lot of new technology and a new approach to an old system. And so some of the faults and what I would consider the headaches that you experience with an EDI integration, if you're doing that with NetSuite, are things that Orderful has recognized and particularly tried to address. So I commented on the fact that you should be aware that an integration, especially if you have multiple trading partners, can easily go into months to go live. Anyone who's gone through an EDI integration knows that you at least feel like the entire process could be done very rapidly, but because it's usually done through email, back and forth, going very slowly, I'll talk to you next week, let's see if we can schedule a meeting, etc. Orderful said, listen, we're gonna do a different approach. We're gonna crunch down that entire go live process down to weeks or even days. Instead of dealing with middleware and manual data entry, they said, we're just gonna make something that is integrated into native NetSuite. So in terms of the specifics of how all of these things work, I should probably just do a full review video on that. So I guess you can keep an eye out for that maybe next month. But in the meantime, just understand that if you have an interest in EDI and are looking at an EDI implementation, then I definitely would check out Orderful. They've got a really great team in general, and their support team in particular does an excellent job, especially in relation to some of the competitors. So overall, I just wanted to give a kudos to Orderful for winning the App Partner of the Year. And then the last thing I want to talk about is I've been on YouTube for quite some time. I've also been on LinkedIn, but I've now just started being active on Reddit. I know there's a pretty robust community there, so I will have my Reddit handle down below. If you want to reach out to me personally on Reddit, feel free to do so. So with that in mind, if you found this video helpful, please hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and I hope to see you in the next video.